Hello, my name is Mark Chen, and welcome to my Let's Play video of Fallout 4. This video for Fallout 4 actually will be a little bit different than just playing the game initially, I guess. So I have about 350 hours clocked into this game with 3 different playthroughs of it. The game just came out in November. Well, maybe not just, but recently, 2 months ago or so, and I've been playing it pretty obsessively. I wanted to do a let's play of what would happen if you tried to make as realistic as you could choices as possible while you were playing. When I played it the first time, obviously I love this game and I've been sort of obsessed with it for a while. But when I played it, I noticed that the actions, the choices I was making in the game were pretty extreme, I would say, for somebody with the background of the character that you're supposed to be playing. So I wanted to do...
I only had a bobby pin.
Oh man, those bobby pins. So I wanted to do a playthrough as if you actually were this character that they're asking you to be. This is this area here where I don't have any bobby pins. Like there's bobby pins in the very first part of the game in the vault before you leave the vault. I forgot to get them, so I'm running around without bobby pins, which means I cannot unlock doors or chests or whatever, which kind of sucks until I get more. But anyway, so this is Nora, the character. I went with the default name. The story is that Nora was married and had a newborn baby, and was living in the suburbs basically about 200 years ago, before nuclear holocaust occurred.
Codsworth?
I live and breathe. Oh, it's really you.
You would just listen to some of the dialogue with the very first character that you meet after you get out of the vault. This is Codsworth, your I guess home companion.
My God. They did it. All that fighting. And for what? Everything's dead.
Everything's dead? Ah, yes, the garden. The posies have been problematic, I admit. If only Sir were here to help. Where is he, by the by?
So, I love the voice acting in this game. I think it's really well done, especially this female main protagonist.
He can't be dead. He can't be.
I like the sort of raspiness of her
I'm
voice.
in a dream. I'm in a bad dream.
Oh, Mum, these things you're saying, these terrible things, I believe you need a distraction.
I think Codsworth is really well characterized.
This dire mood. It's been ages since we've had a proper family activity. Checkers, or perhaps charades. Oh, Sean does so love that game. Is the lad with you?
Here I'm basically just trying to pick what I think is realistic in terms of what Nora would say, and just having come out of this vault after being frozen for 200 years. So the main motivation for your character really is that your son was kidnapped while you were frozen. But you sort of had this a slight waking moment, some years ago where you saw him being kidnapped. So now, once you emerge, you're like, it's fresh on your memory basically, and you're going to go after him. You might notice that the dialogue is presented a particular way in this Let's Play. It's not.
It's worse than I thought.
It's not how the dialogue is presented in the base game. I have a bunch of mods installed. The dialogue by default looks a lot more like Mass Effect or a BioWare game.
200 years?
There's like 4 choices around a radio thing.
A bit over 210, actually, Mum. Give or take a little.
There's this great Let's Play video that compares Fallout 4 to previous Fallouts. it does a really good job of describing, how dialogue just sort of pales in comparison to Fallout 4 compared to the previous ones. So earlier I said I tried to make choices that were realistic. I also just always went for the choices that got me experience points.
Codsworth, you're acting a little weird. What's wrong?
I, Mum, it's been just horrible. 2 centuries with no one to talk to, no one to serve.
Poor Codsworth.
I spent the first 10 years.
So I'm like
trying
playing
to
the
keep floors
first
waxed.
dialogue you have with Codsworth in its entirety right now, because I feel like it's so important in setting up the story. This is the very first dialogue in the whole game, really, and the juxtaposition is pretty effective, I think. Where like your expectations and Codsworth's sort of frame of reference are completely different, and again, I think so. Fallout 4, the setup is really
Codsworth.
interesting. It's just the follow through, I think, for the rest of the game is a little bit lacking, and that's what this Let's Play is basically going to be about.
You and your family were dead. I did find this holotape. I believed Sir was going to present it to you as a surprise. But then, well, everything happened.
A holotape? What's on it?
I believe it's a private message for you. My etiquette protocols would not permit me to play it for myself. Any standard holotape reading device should be able to play it back. Oh, like that Pip-Boy on your arm. That should work brilliantly. Now, enough feeling sorry for myself. Shall we search the neighborhood together? Sir and young Sean may turn up yet.
So in playing Nora, I'm trying to
Have
be
you seen
this
anything
lawyer
dangerous?
from pre-apocalypse, which means I'm trying to make decisions as if, I have this, I guess, 21st century modern day American values. I don't go around just murdering things or stealing things necessarily. I try to be this person who, is still adhering to these sort of old values, I guess, of human decency or non-war-torn morality, I guess. So in the lore of the game, 200 years ago, the U.S. and China are in a war, and are warring with each other, and eventually they resort to nuclear weapons. This company named Vault-Tec has sort of predicted the coming of nuclear warfare, and has created a bunch of vaults for citizens to hide in, to protect themselves from radiation and nuclear blasts and everything. The thing is, each vault is actually a social experiment. The one that you're in, you're all frozen, and so you've been frozen for 200 years, and now you've just newly woken up. So I'm playing this game with a particular morality. It isn't a no-kill game, so I'm still killing things. I'm just being careful about what I kill, I guess. What's really awesome is that there are some Let's Plays of people doing these like no-kill playthroughs. Some of these playthroughs where they're doing no kills
Come on, Codsworth.
I
need your help.
Are pretty amazing.
Where
You
can
should
I
look
go?
them up on YouTube.
Could head into the city.
It takes hours and hours for certain fights.
But the people there are
So the game, keeps
as put
stats
together
of
as I am.
your activities, I guess, like Grand Theft Auto does. So you can look at how many things you've killed you or your companion. Later on, you get an NPC companion,
There's still people
follower,
alive
or
in
whatever you want to
Concord?
call it, henchman.
Yes, although they're a bit rough.
And
You remember
that
the
number
way
of kills in a no-kill playthrough, these people are trying to keep it at 0. For me, I'm just trying not to kill anything sentient without a good reason. So I'll kill for self-defense. I'll kill bugs and mole rats and rat scorpions and things like that. But I won't just go and initiate combat with like super mutants or raiders or other humans or these things that I think are these thinking beings like humans who are just minding their own business. I try not to just kill them because that's like murder, isn't it?
Okay, so we just saw the perk screen where every time you level you get to pick a new perk to customize your character, basically to suit your playstyle, except in Fallout 4 almost all the perks are combat related, and because of the roleplay I'm trying to do, I'm trying really hard not to pick combat focused perks. I feel like in the previous Fallouts it was easier to do. Fallout 4 is basically, kill things. Speaking of murder, did you notice the dead body I just looted? I think that's the first dead body in the game that you come across and loot. If you're just sort of following the beeline from Sanctuary to the gas station. The game does this pretty good job of normalizing what you come to expect and what
Hey
you
boy, what are you doing out
do
here
as a
all by
player,
yourself?
I guess. And this is, I think, one of the first framings of that, or where there's a dead body. Obviously, it's a video game, so you go and loot it and everything, and don't really think critically about what
You
you're
lose
doing.
your owner, buddy?
But it's
Okay,
totally
then.
within the norm
Let's stick
of the
together.
game as game, because that's what you do. You kill things and you loot them. But role playing as Nora like this, would probably freak you out, right?
So this playthrough, I basically recorded a lot of video, and then I'm trying to cut and edit so that you're just seeing certain highlights that are examples of this sort of morality play that I'm trying to do. So here I'm hesitant in just going in and killing all these raiders that are the very first encounter with the Minutemen and Concord. But eventually I'm just like, man, this is kind of ridiculous. They're starting to shoot me, so I need to attack them back in self-defense. It's kind of crazy. I feel really, it's kind of bad just killing these people. Also, I turned gore off, by the way. I don't know if you noticed, but in the base game, the default, there's a ton of gore. And in the first two Fallouts, there's a tradition of gore in Fallout games. When you shoot someone's head, it might explode like a melon, or limbs can be shorn off with weapons. I don't mind the gore so much. It's just that I felt it was starting to get a little ridiculous. So I'm also playing this playthrough in survival mode. I mentioned that I have a lot of mods installed. The default survival mode for this game just makes it so that enemies are bullet sponges, as in they just take a ton of health to kill, which is relatively unrealistic. I'm playing in survival mode, but I also have this mod where their hit points aren't super high, or the damage that I do isn't scaled down. In fact, it's scaled up. However, their damage to me is also scaled significantly higher. So it plays much more like Operation Flashpoint or some of these more realistic shooters where you can just get sniped and die immediately. And I felt like that was more realistic. So I'm playing that with those mods. It's called Arbitration, actually, if you want to get it. It's pretty awesome. There's other mods that I have going on where, you know, the main one, of course, is the dialogue one that you saw. There's a mod that sort of renames the items, which is why you see clothing and eyewear and stuff like that in this inventory screen. I've got a bunch of convenience mods for when you do the building of the settlements and everything. What's awesome about the mod scene is that there's like hundreds and hundreds of mods for this game already, and the official toolkit for making mods hasn't been released yet. So these people are just sort of like figuring it out and uploading. The Nexus site is pretty awesome to look for mods. For a while, actually, people were just doing things like, in terms of graphics and stuff, we're doing texture replacers and things like that. And it took a few weeks before some people figured out how to actually add their own items or edit the meshes that are in the game. So first it was just the surface textures that were being edited, and now people are actually editing the geometry of certain items and everything. It's pretty awesome. There's all these sort of like visual mods and everything. Okay, so here I am meeting the Minuteman for the first time.
Man, I don't know who you
finally.
are, but your timing's impeccable. Preston Garvey, Commonwealth Minuteman.
God damn it.
Minutemen? So now I'm traveling backward in time.
Protect the people at a minute's notice. That was the idea. So I joined up, wanted to make a
that ain't
difference. And I did, but things fell apart. Now it looks like I'm the last Minuteman left standing.
Maybe.
The world's changed so much. None of this makes sense.
You all right? Listen, we need your help.
So this is the second dialogue in the game, and you can already kind of tell that, like, the main conceit of the game just starts to fall apart, or starts to unravel.
Looking for an infant boy.
This is, you know,
been kidnapped.
foreshadowing for the rest of the game. It starts subtly at first, but you know, the premise starts to not quite jive with how characters react to you and everything.
First it was the ghouls in Lexington, and now this mess.
So here it's like, what are ghouls? You know?
Ghouls? What are ghouls?
Wow. You really aren't from around here, are you? Ghouls are irradiated people. Most are just like you and me. They look
What's
pretty
kind of crazy
messed
is that,
up and
okay, so
live for a long time.
I chose the line
still
where you
just
don't know what
people.
ghouls are, right?
The ones I'm
But then
talking
Preston's
about
just like,
different.
oh, you don't know what ghouls are? I'll explain them to you.
Radiation
It's like,
rotted their brains,
he's got
making them
no
feral. They'll rip you apart just as soon as
curiosity
you
about why you don't know them,
look at you. Anyway,
because they're basically
I
everywhere.
figured Concord would be a safe place to
So
settle.
everyone should know what they are.
Those
So,
raiders
and he's
proved
not
us wrong.
questioning that you don't know
But-
what they are.
Well, we do have one idea.
Better be a good one.
Sturgis, tell her.
There's a crashed vertibird up on the roof. Old school. Pre-war. You might have seen it. Well, looks like one of its passengers left behind a seriously sweet goodie. We're talking a full suit of cherry T-45 power.
So here they're seriously asking
Military
you
issue.
to go and fix this power armor and wear it, and then and then kill the raiders that are outside.
This is crazy.
This is crazy because this is
Just-
crazy.
Hear me out. Get the suit. You can rip the minigun right off the vertibird. Do that.
Like,
Those
why
raiders get an express
you?
ticket to hell. You dig?
Shouldn't Preston be doing this?
And I can use the minigun like a rifle.
Don't see why not.
I can
It'll
see
have a
why
manual
not.
Trigger. Just aim it at the bad guys and do the old spray and pray. Now, as for the armor, it's out of juice.
How's a
Probably has been
lawyer
for 100 years.
have all these
Can't be
skills
powered up
for
again.
shooting guns?
But we're a bit stuck.
The answer is no, I'm out. Although,
I don't know if I can help you.
never chose the ones
What
that
you'll
I
need is
knew
an
would just
old pre-war
end the
FC.
story completely.
A standardized fusion core. Your high-grade, long-term nuclear battery used by the military and some companies way back when. And we know right where to find one.
But we can't get to the damn thing.
If you're careful,
It's
I
down in
mean,
the
if you're
basement.
paying attention through this
Like
dialogue,
behind
there's
the
actually a
security
bug
gate.
that I
Look, I fixed
that sort of happened where
I tinker.
the voiceover,
Bypassing security
or not the
ain't
voiceover,
exactly
but
my
the
forte.
subtitling,
Give it a shot.
I guess you would call it, gets out of sync with the audio.
What are you looking for again?
A fusion core. It's kind of a fancy battery. They used one
We,
here in
of
the
course,
museum
would
to
know
power
what a
the
fusion
exhibits a
core
long time ago.
is.
There's one in the basement behind the security gate. You'll need to pick the lock or hack the computer to open it.
Yeah, right. So, what makes you think I
don't
can
know.
pick a lock or hack a
We'll
computer?
see.
Well, it's not a no. Look, if you can get to the fusion core, jack it into that power armor, and grab
So,
a minigun, then those
You
raiders
know,
they
when
picked
I
the wrong
played the
fight.
game the first time,
Good luck.
I guess I was disappointed in how much funneling the game does with you, and sort of forcing you to easily get into the rhythm of just killing things.
You can't own a free spirit like that. But he chooses his friends and sticks with them. He'll stay by you now. I saw it.
Love the accent there. Sorry.
You saw it?
It's the chems, kid. They give old Mama Murphy the sight. Been that way for as long as I can remember.
And here already, Nora, I started dressing
What's
Nora
the
up in
sight?
like charisma items.
Which, you know, is just like another example of already compromising my, I guess, roleplay integrity. You know, the game kind of encourages you to take advantage of its systems, right? So taking advantage of certain equipment or whatever that gives me benefits when I'm in dialogue or when I'm in combat or whatever. So I'll switch out outfits when I'm going into different situations.
I see. Oh. It's horrible, kid. Claws and teeth and horns. The very face of death itself.
You mean like a death claw?
All I
So
can
everyone in this universe should know what death claws are
all.
also. So like she should be able to say death claw,
now.
and then you should be able to say
Have a
what's a
job
death
to
claw.
do.
You plan on dying today? No? Then move it.
Okay, so here I fixed I found the fusion core, getting into the power armor, and you can see I have one of these weather mods, right? So I also have darker nights, and it's dark, it's raining like crazy, it's thundering, and I apologize for that because you probably can't see anything. Me having played this like 2 times before, I already know that there's all this stuff there. So there's going to be guys running towards us on that main street there.
Why don't you get down here?
And I'm basically looking for
A lot of people get my boy.
gunshots and aiming in that general direction. The power armors in this game is really, I like them a lot, and it really feels like you're in this mech, like a mech warrior game. This fight, in my second playthrough, and I played on survival mode also, I didn't have any mods installed yet, and this fight in survival mode is ridiculous. Like I basically ran out of ammo with this death claw that appears And you know, it just turns into an endurance fight. So I'm basically up on the second floor balcony of something and pinging it with this 10mm pistol because I run out of Gatling minigun ammo. And then I run out of pistol ammo, and I'm basically throwing Molotov cocktails at it and everything, and it's just taking forever. So what you do in that situation is you sneak, wait for it to just come, and then you try to get some sneak shots on it, sneak attack shots on it, and then you run away and wait for, and sneak again and wait for the Deathclaw to go back to its regular patrol routine and not be sort of aware of your presence. It's totally cheesy, and I guess it's fun because I figured out how to do it, but it basically turns into just an endurance fight, and it just stops being fun after, you know, like the 10th time doing it. One thing that looks like pretty well done, actually, I think the raindrops on the power armor HUD or screen or whatever you call it. I think that's really well done. I mean, at one point I thought I spilled water on my monitor. I don't know if you notice also when you're in power armor and you're looking at your Pip-Boy, the Pip-Boy colors are different. So they really did a good job of you know, making the look different when you're in power armor, because it's not supposed to be a Pip-Boy, it's just supposed to be a graphics layered on top of your visor or whatever it is that you're looking through. So here I'm just like, there's no way I could be able to fight this Deathclaw in this crazy rain and not be able to see it, so I have to get closer. And at this point I'm just like, oh god, this is gonna be horrible. Oh god. But then the most amazing thing happened. It was, I don't know if it was me or if it was Preston, but like, we got a lucky shot in and crippled one of his legs. And now he's just like, basically can't do anything. It's crazy. So that fight this third time around was like way easier than the second time. The first time, so you know, obviously if you are watching this then you are totally okay with spoilers. The first time I did this, I didn't know it was going to be a Deathclaw, and you know, basically was very, very surprised. Okay, so here's Nora, the lawyer, who has now killed, like, I don't know, at least a dozen things? Like, at least a dozen people. She's now killed a dozen people. And it's like, okay, whatever. So there's Idiot Savant triggering. Which, I don't know. I find that there's some parts of this game just don't gel well together, like the sound effects for Idiot Savant and Grim Reaper later on. Okay, so we're done. And we're ready to go talk to them.
Amazing display. I'm just glad you're on our side.
So again, I'm trying to roleplay.
Okay now?
Yeah, for a while anyway. We can at least move someplace safer. Listen, when we first met, you asked about the Minutemen. One thing you should know about us, we help out our friends. So here, for everything you've done, thank you.
Thanks. Why are you giving me bottle caps? Oh, I'm just supposed to sort of telepathically know its currency?
Time, Mama Murphy's had a vision of a place called Sanctuary.
I guess it should be kind of obvious by now, but one of the things I'm extremely disappointed about in this game is just the sort of, I guess, superficiality of the dialogue. Superficialness.
I got my own problems.
I'll look up that word later. But basically, almost each choice gets you the same progress through a dialogue tree, and the only thing you can actually roleplay is just your attitude, like whether you're sarcastic or mean or you know, what kind of quip you give. And even then, in the default game, you're just given these hints at what you're going to be saying, and so you can't actually effectively roleplay because you think you're going to say one thing, and then the game sort of makes your character say something else entirely, or with an entirely different demeanor than you had intended.
He's out there. And even I don't need the sight to tell you where you should start looking. The great green jewel of the Commonwealth. Diamond City. The biggest settlement around.
Okay, Diamond City. So, you know, role-playing Nora, okay. I'm gonna basically make a beeline to Diamond City.
Hey, sister.
So, I decided to, in this playthrough, to try to realistically choose which missions to do as well. So I'm basically gonna go directly to Diamond City unless some emergency happens.
Trouble is, some raiders are holed up in it. Help me run.
It's also interesting
and
that
I'll give you a cut of the profit. How
after
about
playing this
50
3
taps?
times,
Sound
there's
fair?
still new things
How
to
many
me.
raiders?
Like I must have
Not
missed
sure.
I missed
Stopped
nests in
counting
previous
when they started
playthroughs.
shooting. Maybe 8 or 10. Now, are you in or not?
So there's this
Dude,
tension, obviously,
on.
between
Make
trying
it
to
worth my
roleplay
time.
and then trying to game the system.
You can do better than that.
Eventually, got some XP out of it, you know, with the persuasion checks, and now I
Not
can
interested.
just go
Your
away.
loss.
Like, why would I ever agree to kill a bunch of guys for money? Okay, so on the way to Diamond City, you know, you hear this distress call. Okay, fine. I'll go and check out what the distress call is about.
Pest exterminator. I heard you had a feral problem.
So like, just a few hours earlier you had no idea what ghouls were, and now you're already calling them ferals. I don't think anyone ever told you they were called ferals yet, but you just know they're called ferals.
You make a fair point. And this is basically where you meet the Brotherhood of Steel, which is a long-standing faction in the Fallout games, and you come upon them while they're trying to defend their base from a bunch of ghouls who are attacking. Ghouls are basically zombies in this universe. You know, irradiated humans, right, or mutated humans. And I think this is the first encounter with ghouls, and it's just like, oh, whatever.
Brotherhood of Steel.
By now it's already, you know, this is like, what, day 1, maybe day 2 in the game, and whatever. So just like how with Preston Garvey and the Minutemen, immediately
If I may.
seeking your services, here's Paladin Dance basically, you know, saying, hey, you must be a mercenary, we could use your help, and I'm gonna totally trust you without knowing anything about you. And at this point, like, you don't even know who the Brotherhood of Steel are, so it's just kind of ridiculous to think about, like, Nora, who basically just woke up yesterday and was a, you know, a yuppie, basically, to then be a mercenary for hire to go and shoot super mutants and stuff like that, and ghouls. It's just crazy. There was one of the Let's Plays I watched made the argument that this game is about the player, not the player character.
Science and technology became more.
So, like, of course, as a player, you know who the BOS are.
Bioengineered plagues and
You know who ghouls are. You know who super mutants are. You know, you want to go and just go on these kill sprees and just like roam the landscape because it's really fun. As a player character, you know, it's really hard to roleplay.
I'm pleased that you agree. There are very few outside the Brotherhood who appreciate the gravity of the situation we're facing as a species.
one thing, you find these holotapes in the game that give you background and lore and everything. This one's really good. I really empathize with Scribe but then in no way can this information from any of the holotapes or computers or that you hack or whatever, they never affect your dialogue, they never affect your choices.
Instead of diplomacy, they
You
wield
know,
violent
and
confrontation to exert
at the
control.
end of the game, when you're chosen, when you have to choose different factions to sort of ally with, it forces that decision. And if you don't choose the Brotherhood of Steel, you might be sent to kill all the Brotherhood of Steel, which is just crazy. Okay, so I basically have gone and helped the Brotherhood of Steel now because their you know, urgency of the situation seemed important. So I went off and did it. It was actually the first mission where you meet synths, which are these, I guess, robots or synthetic humans or things that are meant to look like people but aren't actually people. Except this is an earlier prototype of the synths that you fight, and so they actually look like robots, you know, basically androids. The Brotherhood is very, very much against the synths, because the Brotherhood's against, you know, sort of any misuse of technology, and views these are misuses as threats to humankind. The synths, you know, were in this mission at least, they basically just fired at you on sight, so it's not like you had a choice of who to ally with.
Now, as far as the second matter goes, I wanted to make you a proposal. We had a lot thrown at us back there. Our op could have ended in disaster, but you kept your cool and handled it like a soldier. There's no doubt in my mind that you've got what it takes. The way I see it, you've got a choice. You could spend the rest of your life wandering from place to place, trading an extra hand for a meager reward. Or
so this is, you know, you do one mission for them, and he wants you to join them already.
So, what do you say?
No.
So, what would be expected of me if I joined?
You'd be under my command, and I'd expect you to follow orders. No more mercenary work. This is the real thing. You'd have access to advanced military weapons, as well as your own personal suit of power armor. Most importantly, you'd have the Brotherhood at your back, ready to spill its own blood to keep you alive. Offer still stands. Can we count on you?
I admit the power armor was pretty tempting, but, you know,
No.
not quite tempting enough.
That's a shame. Well, if you change your mind, you know where to find us. Good luck to you.
You want into Diamond City?
Okay, so here, finally meeting Piper for the first time outside Diamond City.
I just got here, but yeah. Shh. Lay along.
What's that? You said you're a trader up from Quincy? You have enough supplies to keep the general store stocked for a whole month?
Again, I really like the gestures.
You hear that, Danny? You gonna open the gate and let us in, or are you
I like
one talking
Piper.
to crazy Myrna about losing out on all the supplies?
She sounds like Sandra Bullock to me.
Jeez, all right. I need to make it personal, Piper. Give me a minute.
Better head inside quick before old Danny catches on to the bluff.
So I felt meeting Piper and seeing her here would be important for this video because she's just one of the, I think, iconic NPCs that you get. She's probably your first human companion, you know, that you party around with, or that you basically, you know, start doing quests with and everything, right? After the dog and Codsworth, you know, and I think because of that, she kind of has this lasting impression. You know, it's very good voice acting and gesture work and everything. It's really nice. This scene, after you enter the doors to Diamond City, you also meet this mayor, and you sort of start getting introduced to one of the main, I guess, plot lines of the game, which is that there's people going missing all throughout the Commonwealth, and generally everyone blames this organization called the Institute. The Institute are responsible for the synths that you meet, and so the previous mission with the Brotherhood of Steel fighting those synths and everything, those synths are basically Institute synths. So the Institute is like this a boogeyman type of organization. No one really knows what their motives are, why they're supposedly kidnapping people, and it turns into almost like a Battlestar Galactica type of thing, where certain humans are not actually humans, they're actually synths, right? And people are getting replaced by synths. But that in itself is pretty alarming, right? But still, no one really knows what their motives are, which is, I suppose, very similar to Battlestar, right? The thing with the game is that you know, there's all these different factions, and a lot of factions are, I think, meant to be gray morally, and so you know, I hesitated as Nora to join the Brotherhood of Steel because they basically just want to destroy the Institute and kill all the synths. But at the same time, it's not like I really wanted to throw my lot in with the Institute, because the Institute, you know, are kidnapping and murdering people, right? It's just not something that sits well, especially with this character Nora that I've been creating. I'm not going to show a lot of the, there's a lot more video that I recorded about interactions with the Institute. I'm actually not going to show those clips in this Let's Play because I just don't want to spoil the game too much. And I felt like I probably don't actually need to cover some of the actual plot and everything for you to get a sense of the criticism I'm trying to make here. You know, essentially, the main point, I suppose, is that it's almost impossible to treat the game realistically. It's almost impossible to actually roleplay Nora the way that the designers have written her character as. And one thing that I've kind of noticed is that the reason why it's almost impossible is because of this sort of superficialness of everything. You know, Piper, you know, I love Piper, and let's be clear, I love this game, but it isn't a satisfying depiction of reality for me. It's just a veneer of reality, or a facade. So here you're meeting Piper's sister, Nat, who helps her run the newspaper, and she's telling you about the Institute.
Institute?
Sort of for the first time, and then she ends up giving you this a copy of the newspaper which you can read to get a little bit more background about what's going on and everything. And Diamond City is basically, all the citizens are extremely paranoid right now because of the kidnappings that keep happening. The Piper has a beef with the mayor because the mayor doesn't seem to be having the police force look into the kidnappings. There's actually plot reasons why that happens.
I believe you. Thanks.
You're a real lost lamb in the wolf's den, lady.
Locks him up.
So you're sent on this quest to find Nick Valentine. He's not actually in his office. So there's these mobsters who have kidnapped Valentine, and you go and rescue him. And I'm like, you know what? I think my character actually would try to talk it out with these people. So I just ran in, and of course, you know, that didn't end very well.
Anything else you remember?
after finding and rescuing Valentine, you know, you go back to his office
We're looking
and
for my baby, Sean.
basically give him the case
less than a
of
year
trying
old.
to find your son, Sean. And
Why
he
would you
asks
even
you a bunch
take
of
him?
questions.
Good
A lot of the sort of,
Why your family in particular?
not exposition, but
Why
more
an
like
infant?
the orientation, I guess, to the world occurs during this moment, except it's so far into the game that you've already met synths, you've already met ghouls, you've already met super mutants. Some of these questions don't make sense, like what are super mutants, but you may have already met them, right? Or what are raiders, but you know, like the game has already thrown a whole bunch of raiders at you to kill.
So you think this institute is responsible?
Well, they're the boogeymen of the Commonwealth. Something goes
So I think
wrong, everyone blames them. Easy
one of
to
the
see why.
you know, problems I
Those
have with the
early
game
model synths of
is
theirs stripped whole towns for parts,
just
killing
this
everything
feeling
in their
of
way. Then you got the newer models, good as human, that
like
infiltrate cities and
unrealness,
pull strings from the shadows.
and
Worst of all, no
actually
one
think
knows why
the
they do
game
it,
itself,
what their
the
plan is,
plot line of the
where
game,
they
the
are.
whole
Not even
existence
me.
of the synths and
I'm a synth
institute
myself.
trying to replace
Started
humans
prototype anyway.
is actually kind of a metaphor for the game. Like the game is trying to present a certain reality for us, and it's kind of an uncanny valley thing going on where we, if you just sort of look underneath the surface, you realize very quickly that it isn't a simulation of how people would react or act in this world. It's more of these basically, I would call them not very deep characters. You know, they may have backstories, they have really good voice acting, really nice gestures, but if you try to deviate from
I need to find Sean.
what the designers or writers have come up with, then you're just out of luck. And there's too much sort of like assumption about you as a player. You're coming into this, and then you playing it as a player rather than as the character. It actually reminds me a lot of Philip K. Dick novels, where there's this sort of like hidden reality behind our real reality, I guess, like Valis. And it's actually kind of interesting because I really love that concept. And so by the end of me playing Nora through this playthrough, I started
I think it was kind of a hazard suit.
not being that disappointed anymore, because if you sort of realize that about the game, then you can sort of appreciate the game in a way that I guess is literary, and you basically, as the title of this video, succumb to the simulacra, the not quite real.
Scar across his left eye.
Wait.
And in fact, there comes a point where you sort of realize, you know, everything isn't real. It's all ersatz. It's all fake. It's all simulacra, and the game is synthetic. Everyone is a
Come
synth.
on out. I'll make it nice and quick. You can trust me.
I heard their name.
In other words, there is no morality play.
Keys are hidden.
All right, calm down. It's way too big of a coincidence.
Or at least not in the sense that you can apply a morality based on the scenario given to your character by the designers. It's actually as if the designers say, hey, Nora is this lawyer, right? But actually all along you're nodding with them, nodding your head slyly, like knowing full well that that's totally a lie. It's a laughable premise. So the morality at play here has to be confined within the bounds of the game, but it's like this unspoken game. The designers actually handed over this crazy world to explore and shoot stuff in, right? And so, like, once you realize that, basically, any role play becomes like newly afforded or newly constrained. So I basically like went from this young suburbanite, right, pre-war suburbanite, to a ruthless killer in one play, and you know, I guess I'm okay with that now, right? Because more than that, like I realized that this realization that everything's sort of fake is actually permission to install like almost any mod I want, right? So now I'm like realizing this, I'm as I'm talking now, actually, I'm reinstalling Fallout 4, and I'm going to try again to play as a moral character, except this time I'm going to play a character that is fully in on it. Like, you know, like Nora herself knows that the world is fake.
That's not like you, Dance.
And she's like, you know, in this bad dream, right? But she's become lucid. And so what kinds of interesting stories would come out of that sort of realization? And I actually wonder if any of my choices would actually be any different.